Hello guys, this video we will talk some basic configuration on the DHCP. Of course, we also will provide the lab guide video for you, and here we only explain the detailed command for you. And first, we have to enable DHCP service. It's very important. Otherwise, maybe some terminals send out the DHCP discover message, but the network devices cannot recognize. So this part we have to add it on your devices. The second one you have to create on the DHCP pool. And this is a configuration add on the DHCP server. So maybe you make the router or layer 3 switch to become the DHCP server. You have to add the configuration here. The key words is IP DHCP pool, and the rest part is a pool name. You can use VLAN 1 or 123, it don't matter, depends on your requirement. But pay attention. Suggest to make a good name and you can maintain better. And then you have to add which network segment can be used to assign for customer. Network, and then is the IP segment, the rest of the mask. And this one also need to be added onto the pool and gives the gateway address. And about these parameters, this is optional parameter. If you don't add the command, maybe the terminal doesn't have the gateway address. They only can get an IP address and do the communication in the same segment. But if you want to wait, the other segment cannot work. So this is a function of the gateway. Default router and gives a gateway address. And this address also have to exist on your network, and this is a gateway address of the terminal. And the rest to provide the DNS server in the network. And we also have some public DNS server. If you install some private DNS server, you can change the address here. And also configure the list expire date of dynamically allocate IP address, the day, hour, and minutes. One and like this parameters, that means you can use this IP address 24 hours. And here is an example. This is a client, this is a server. And about the client, it's very easy. You only need to select how to get an IP address, to select a DHCP, how to get a DNS server address, to select DHCP is enough. Then the client will directly send out the DHCP discover message. And about the DHCP server, you have to enable the service and create the pool to become IT, and what's the segment, what's the gateway, what's the DNS server, and what's the list type. And later, after you finish the configuration, you can say show DHCP list to check the list information. And you also can say how many IP address pool you create, show IP DHCP pool. And you also can say maybe in your network, someone manually configure IP address, and someone get an IP address from the pool, and finally this IP address cannot be used because of the conflict. So you also can use the command show IP DHCP conflict to check in our network there's some conflict or not. And the command show IP DHCP bounding will let you know what IP address already allocated for your terminals. And this is an example. Show IP DHCP bounding, and totally now we have 3 clients. And the running client is 3, and expert client is 0. And what's the IP address they already used, and what's the hardware address, and the list time, how many days, hours, and minutes, and the type auto or manually. Auto means they get an IP address and maybe they will release. and the next time the same IP address maybe can be used for the other terminal. Manual means we fixed to make the IP address for a special terminal, maybe for one printer. And if you have a bigger network, maybe your client and your DHCP server were located on different broadcast domain. In this scenario, we need to deploy the DHCP relay. And about the relay devices, maybe it's a layer 3 router, a layer 3 switch, maybe it's a router, and you have to make sure the IP route reasonable between the gateway devices as DHCP relay and the server. So maybe when you do the practice, you also have to add some key routing information on the network to keep the IP route reasonable. Because about the client, we will send out some broadcast message. And by default, the switch will not broadcast the message in the other broadcast domain, like network 1 or network 2. So in this scenario, maybe the server cannot get the information. They don't know that in our network, someone needs an IP address. And about the client, because we don't get the reply, so I will think the server is not exist on our network. So in this scenario, if we deploy the relay function on the server, we will make the broadcast message to become a unicast message and send to the DHCP server. When the server gives a reply, the DHCP relay also will transfer to become broadcast message again and send to the client. So this is a basic function of the DHCP relay. Of course, in this scenario, we also have to add a special configuration of the DHCP relay devices. Otherwise, the relay devices cannot recognize the DHCP message. And the relay configuration, first you also have to enable the DHCP service. Otherwise, when we receive the broadcast message from the client, we don't know, and we don't do the transfer process. And we have to add a global DHCP server address, IP helper address 172.2.2.1. This is a key command here. Why the DHCP can transfer a unicast message to the server? Because we already let the DHCP relay devices know who is your server. So this one is important. And you also have to give an IP address on the interface that connect with the customer equipment, and also maybe connect with the server, right? If you connect with the customer equipment, maybe this address also is a gateway of the terminal. And here is a question for you about the DHCP. The terminal obtain an IP address through DHCP message, and the server finally determines in which message is the information such as IP address mask provides a terminal included, and option A, B, C, and D. So if you want to know the answer, please focus on the next video. Thank you.
Now I think you already know the principle and the configuration of the DHCP, some key configuration command. And let's have a brief summary for you. If we want to deploy the DHCP in our network, we have several rules. The first one, who want to get an IP address? This one we call is DHCP client. And who can help us to assign IP address? This is DHCP server. And between the client and the server, they will communicate with several packets. And based on this packet, we can get an IP address in the mask and the gateway and so on. But pay attention, about the client and the server, normally they have to deploy in the same network because this message belongs to the broadcast message. So if you deploy the server and the client in different network, we have to add a new devices. This one we call is DHCP Relay. Of course, you can use the network devices like layer 3 switch, like the router, to become DHCP server. And of course, you can deploy special server and make the configuration of the DHCP. That's all about this video. Thank you.